So we are discussing about the antiseptics and disinfectants, in that the physical agents like the heat and the other things were discussed, and the chemical matters which are used in the disinfections were also discussed. And in continuation with that particular thing, now we will have the discussion about the triclosan. Is a polychlorophenol, and it is used topically as an antibacterial or antifungal agent. So it is used in the toothpaste, mouthwashes, dish detergents, hand sanitizers, and some other products. So this was one of the most popular product, especially it was present in the pastes, etc. But the recent studies, it suggested that the use of the triclosan in excess is associated with some adverse effects, and it reacts with chlorine in tap water to produce the other compounds like 2,4-dichlorphenol and dioxins and the chloroform, which are all toxic. So suppose if you are using the triclosan either in the paste or detergents or dishwashers, so it used to form certain salts which are highly toxic in nature. Hence, the WHO, of course, this is the formula, simple formula of triclosan. So the WHO actually, it stopped the use of the triclosan in the clinical practice. Then the halogen are extremely reactive because their atoms are highly electronegative halogens, and they can gain the electron by reactivating the atoms of the other elements, and especially with the bacteria, and lethal to biological organisms. It may be the fungus or the other things, especially the virus, etc. Then accordingly, the halogens such as their compounds are widely used as antiseptics and also the disinfectants. So the iodine and iodine compounds are used, and iodine is one of the oldest antiseptic. So this is one of the most popular antiseptic and also the disinfectant. So it's coming in the form of the tincture iodine, then the povidone iodines, Lugol's iodines, and many more type of the iodine preparations are there, and iodophores. So the solutions contain elemental iodine produces excellent and prompt and the effective microbial tidal action, especially it has the very broad spectrum of the activity, especially the tincture iodine, etc. So usually 1:20,000 solution, 1:20,000 solution kills most of bacteria in 1 minute, and the spores within 15 minutes. That's the usual killing rate, or the germicidal action will be slowed by the presence of the pus, etc. So this is also not effective in presence of the pus. So the iodine primarily acts by iodinating and oxidizing microbial protoplasm or protoplasmic bridges we have seen in the structures of the bacteria. Then elemental iodine is present in number of preparations, especially in case of the certain solutions, these ointments and paints, especially the povidone iodine, these betadine solutions, the tincture and Lugol's iodine. So all this contains. So especially sometimes when there is a sore throat, the paints, means here not the paints which are to the wall, etc. So the paints of the antiseptics will be done, especially on the throat region. So that's also one of the method. Then the weak solutions of the iodine or tincture iodine. What is a tincture? Tincture is 2% iodine and 2.5% potassium iodide in water and alcohol, especially 100 ml of the alcohol, means 2.5 grams of the iodine crystals and 5% of the potassium iodide, or also in case of water. So it is widely used as the antiseptic solution, and especially the dressing, wound dressing, and also to touch this umbilical cord then recently incised wound, and pre-operative sterilization sites. So the swabbing is done, especially before conducting the surgery. The swabbing is done with the tincture iodine or povidone iodine. So the aqueous solution of the iodine to the extent of 0.25% or 250 milligrams per 100 ml may be used as a uterine and vaginal dose in metritis and vaginitis, especially in cattle. But nowadays it is being stopped because in this percent also, this is highly irritant in nature. Hence, it should not be used because nowadays the modern antibiotics, especially the cephalosporins, third generation cephalosporins are there. We have to use, and also the pH with neutral pH. Whereas the Mandel's paint is, please remember this particular terminology. If you are asked to write the composition of the Mandel's paint, it is 1.25% iodine and 2.5% potassium iodide in alcohol and glycerin. So this is applied over the mucous membrane of the sore throat. So you can prepare this in our lab also. So 1.25 grams of the iodine crystals, just half of that particular tincture iodine. Then 2.5% of the potassium iodide in alcohol and equal part of the alcohol and glycerin. Then you can use a swab, cotton swab, and the Mandel's paint can be brushed, especially in the throat region. So, of course, nowadays the modern lozenges are there. So they are used instead of this Mandel's paint. The iodine ointment, 4% iodine and 4% potassium iodide in ointment base is widely used as the counter irritant. So what's a counter irritant? So it is going, if you apply this particular paint on a surface of the animal's body, then it causes a little irritation. And because of that little irritation, the local nerves will be stimulated and the required reactions may occur. And elemental iodine has low toxicity and comparatively low reactivity with the proteins except the blood. So the elemental iodine is, the blood reduces the efficacy of iodide by converting it to bactericidal iodine. So if the ointment or whatever it will be, if it comes in the contact with that of the blood, then it is getting converted into non-bactericidal iodine. So that's the iodine stains skin. That's one of the greatest disadvantage and may give rise to local hypersensitivity also to some individuals. Whereas the second category, that's the iodophores, are complexes of the iodine with large molecular organic compounds which serve as carriers from which the iodine is released. So they are little bit different from that of the regular iodine, and they have got the large molecular organic compounds which serve as the carriers. And from these carriers, the iodine is released slowly. So the example is the povidone iodine. And such carriers tend to increase solubility of the iodine, and they also provide a sustained release reservoir and also reduced equilibrium concentrations of free molecular iodine and aid in the penetration of iodine in organic matter. So the povidone iodine is non-irritant in nature, whereas the tincture iodine is highly irritant in nature. So they do not stain or sting and non-toxic to the tissues and not corrosive also, the iodophores. But a special preparation is required for them. And they are effective against almost all the microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, etc. But they are less active against the spores. And they retain good antibacterial activity, less than pH 4, even in the presence of the organic matter, and often changes the color when the activity is lost. So the color of the povidone iodine will be lost when it is changing the color. Just like the potassium permanganate. Once the color is changed, then its effectivity will be lost. And the most popular and widely used preparation of the iodophore is the povidone iodine. So povidone iodine is very commonly used as an antiseptic and also the mouthwash, mouth gargling agent, then especially the liniments, some of the ointments are also coming, and also the paint. Then coming to the povidone iodine, so it is abbreviated as PVP1. So it is a stable chemical complex of the big molecules like polyvinyl pyrrolidone, or this is shortened as povidone, or the short form is the PVP. Then the elemental iodine. So the chemical complex of the PVP, polyvinyl pyrrolidone, and the iodine crystals. This form the povidone iodine. So it's a completely soluble in cold water, ethyl alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, then polyethylene glycol and glycerol. So everywhere it is soluble, and its solubility in solution much greater than that of the tincture iodine or Lugol's iodine, because the crystals of the iodine will be settled down, and if you put this 2.5% or 5% solutions in the, especially the crystals, 5 gram in 100 gram, 100 ml of the water, many times it doesn't dissolve. We need to require the PVP1 contains the this 9.0% to 12% available iodine calculated on dry basis, and this serves as a sustained release from elemental iodine. So these larger molecules of the PVPs or polyvinyl pyrrolidine compounds, they are going to release the iodine very slowly in the solution form. And the free iodine slowly liberated from the povidone iodine, that's also known as PVP1. It's a complex in solution and kills the eukaryotic or the prokaryotic cells through the iodination of lipids and oxidation of cytoplasmic membrane. So this is going to do the mechanism of action and going to kill the cells of the microorganisms due to the iodination of the lipid, because iodine is having the very affinity towards most of the components of the bacteria. Hence, it is ruptured. Bacteria gets dissociated. The povidone iodine exhibits a very broad range of microbial activity, especially the bacteria, fungi, virus, and many more. And the povidone iodine has less bactericidal action than the free iodine when compared to the regular tincture iodine, Lugol's iodine, etc. So it is more soluble and less irritating to the tissues. Then the povidone iodine is widely used as a general antiseptic and wound healing agent for various dermal and mucosal infections. So it is one of the good skin scrub, just like the iodine ointment, and disinfections of some of the equipments, small equipments, and also scrubbing of the hands of the surgeon. It is required. Another reason why many times we prefer for the povidone iodine is cost-wise, it is very economical when compared to the regular antiseptics. So then, except the staining property, the irritation property is also not there, and it is effective against the wounds, abscesses, and other skin injuries because of their wide spectrum of the antimicrobial action. But the retention capacity or residual effect of the povidone iodine is very less when compared to the other agents. So the repeated applications are required in the event of 4 to 6 hours once. So that's the one which gives us the best results. So povidone iodine has been formulated at different concentration in especially for preparations of the surgical scrubs, ointment, and swab dosages. Also the paints. Then a solution containing 10% iodine in water, that's it, betadine, it's one of the most popular trade name from the Wockhardt pharmaceutical. So it has been described for common human and veterinary uses, 10% iodine, 5% iodine, etc. Then when used on a wound irrigant or treating the infections, iodine may get absorbed systemically in sufficient amount, just like the boric acid. Then can produce adverse effects. So the iodine preparations, the adverse effect is related to the concentration. As the concentration increases, the side effect is going to increase. So if renal functions are normal, the absorbed iodine is rapidly excreted and signs of systemic adverse effects not developed. So the excess of the systemic iodine concentration, especially it is becoming excess in the renal insufficiency, may cause the transient thyroid hormone dysfunction, because the thyroid gland is the one which accumulates a lot of iodine. That's we have learned in the endocrine pharmacology. Then povidone iodine should be used in lot of discretion when treating the large type of the, because the iodine is absorbed into the circulation. So either it may be povidone iodine or the tincture iodine or Lugol's iodine. So one need to be very careful. So this is the povidone iodine, or the many times it is coming in the bottles like starting from 10 ml to 10 liter. So veterinary practice, it is given in 5 liter can, etc., so that you can decant it to a smaller container and use like this. This is also 10%, whereas this is the 5%. So the different trade name here, the Getadine and some of the companies are changing, and it is depending upon the type of the companies, etc. Then chlorine and chlorine compounds. So you might have tasted the water, especially when you are in the cities, in certain lodges. See, the water cannot be swallowed at all, because we will get a lot of the chlorine smell. So chlorine is a highly reactive compound with potent germicidal effect. So it is against most of the bacteria, viruses, protozoa, and also the fungi. And the acid-fast microorganisms and spores are more resistant to the chlorines. So it is effective at the rate of 0.1 to 0.25 parts per million parts per million. So it is one of the good antiseptic, especially in case of the neutral medium or acid medium, and also all the pHs, alkalinity, as with the organic matters, pus, etc. It is getting the reducers, proteins, especially the mechanism of action. So it is the oxidation and denaturation of the proteins. So the intracellular accumulation of this chlorine will be associated with inhibitions of certain enzymes of the bacteria. Hence, the formation of excess dissociated this hypochlorous acid, HOCl, especially it causes the neutral pH, is the basis for the chlorine in the disinfection of the drinking water. So the water is having the neutral pH, but this is not going to alter the pH of the water. Of course, there is a unwanted smell is there. So the undissociated hypochlorous acid is oxidizing agent and greater bactericidal action than the dissociated form. Then chlorine is widely used disinfectant water supplies and inanimate objects like the utensils, then bottles in dairies and milk houses. So whenever the dairy disinfection need to be done in big dairies, then the chloramine or chlorine is used. So it is mostly used as disinfectant. So in the concentration of 0.2 to 0.4 parts per million, but much higher concentrations are required in the presence of the pus, etc., or the organic matters like the debris, etc. So higher concentration is required, or else the chlorine possesses a very strong acid smell. So you might have smelled, especially if you go to the northern part of the Karnataka, or the Kolar also, then most of the water is chlorinated, and also in Bangalore city also, because the water is processed with the chlorine, because this is one of the most cheapest source of the antiseptics. And because of this thing, the chlorine smell. And also, suppose there is a wound on your surface, especially on the skin, etc., then a lot of pain or sensation may also occur. So that's also, if you wash the face with the chlorinated water, you will get little bit irritation property, etc. So it is irritant to the mucous membrane. And chlorine is a powerful bleaching agent, means oxidizing agent. And so it tends to corrode the metals. And due to its strong smell, chlorine should be used in a well-ventilated area or room. So it is having very strong smell. So that's why it need to be used in one of the, what you call as the powerful ventilated area or room should be there, because it's a very powerful smell and strong smell that is very much required. Hence, then chlorophores, like, and also the chlorine compounds. The chlorophores, just like the iodophores, are the more commonly used than that of the free chlorine, because of the difficulties of handling chlorine in the form of the gas. And chlorine compounds include the sodium hypochlorite, the calcium hypochlorite, then the chlorinated lime, surgical chlorinated soda solution, or that's also known as the Daikin's solutions. So Daikin solution. Then use also in chloramine T. Chloramine T is one of the very commonly used disinfectant in poultry sheds, etc. Their mechanism of action is related to the either release of the free chlorine, then and formation of the hypochlorous acid. Then the sodium hypochlorite, or NaOCl, is an organic compound of chlorine that contains approximately 0.5% weight by volume of available chlorine. And sodium hypochlorite is a very strong oxidizer and releases the chlorine, especially the sodium hypochlorite. And so I think many of you know that the sodium hypochlorite and potassium hypochlorite are very commonly used to disinfect, and as especially when burying the cadavers of the corona affected persons. So all these are put because it's a very strong oxidizers and releases the chlorine. And oxidation reactions are very much corrosive. Therefore, the sodium hypochlorite solutions will burn the skin and cause eye damage, in particular then when are used in the concentrated formats. So accordingly, the sodium hypochlorite is largely used as the disinfectant and not the antiseptic. Means it is only applied on the inanimate objects. So 2 to 5% of the solution is effective as disinfectant, especially the milk cans and other equipments, especially sodium hypochlorite. And the dilute solutions to the extent of 0.5%, 0.5%, can be applied for irrigating or suppurating wounds, etc. But dissolves the blood clots and delays the clotting. That's one of the disadvantages also. Blood clots which are formed the wound will be dislodged and the bleeding starts. So it should not be used. Then this is of course, the sodium hypochlorite. Then it is containing the 5 liter, and usually it is available in 2 to 5%, and the 5.5% is used on the animate objects, and 5% is used on the, especially in this bottle, you can see it's a 5 liter can, then it is containing 10% weight by volume of the sodium hypochlorite. So this is the formula, sodium hypochlorite. Then the calcium hypochlorite is a chlorinated compound with the formula CaCl in the bracket O2. So this is a potent germicide and mainly used as the disinfectant. When compared to the sodium hypochlorite, this is a little bit stable and the mechanism of action is similar to that of the sodium hypochlorite. But it is less commonly used, maybe the cost effective and few of the other factors and availability, etc. Then chlorinated lime, or it's also known as the bleaching powder. So you might have smelled, especially in the hostels and the lodges, to disinfect the toilets or the sanitaries. So this is used chloramine lime or chlorinated lime, or the bleaching powder is obtained by the action of. So you should know all these things. We should have the interest how this this bleaching powder is there. So it is obtained by the action of the chlorine plus lime, resulting in a mixture of the calcium chloride and calcium hypochlorite. So in the equal quantity, if they are mixed, then when exposed to air or water, it decomposes and releases 30 to 35% weight by volume chlorine or the bleaching powder. And its onset of action is very quick, but short lasting, not long lasting. So it is highly irritant and stored in sealed containers. So you should not touch the bleaching powder, which is brought to disinfections of the hostels and the sanitaries, but sometimes it forms the crystals and clogs the pipes, etc. So one should be careful about this thing. And it's highly irritant. Then chlorinated lime is mostly used in the tanks, ponds, drains, livestock premises, and for destruction and disposal of the carcasses or cadavers, but not in dairies because the milk usually takes the taste of the chlorine. So this bleaching powder should not be used in dairy farming, especially to disinfect the dairy farm, because the milk and the vessels, etc., they'll get the smell of the chlorine, which is highly unacceptable. Then Dakin solution, here you can see that Dakin solution is a diluted sodium hypochlorite solution. Dakin solution means diluted sodium hypochlorite solution offered with the boric acid. So it provides 0.5% chlorine and it's a germicidal agent, and blood clots may be also be dissolved, which delays the bleeding. Especially it causes the bleeding, and it is mostly used in cleansing agent to clear infected wound. So it is available in the different trade name. Of course, the Dakin's solution as such, it's available with different pharmaceuticals. So it is applied especially on the wound or pus, where especially there is a lot of pus due to the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, etc. So dissolve this pus, it is used commonly. Then the chloramine T, it's also one of the most commonly used antiseptic. So it is an organic chlorophore that is readily soluble in case of the water. Organic in the form of the combination of 12% active chlorine, and it's a source of the electrophilic chlorine. In water, chloramine T is decomposed to yield the hypochlorite that acts as a disinfectant, and the sulfonamide moiety that inhibits the bacterial growth is also noted. And the chloramine T can there was for used as a mild disinfectant and the biocide. When compared to the other chlorines, this is less irritant, more stable, and for convenient to use than that of the hypochlorite solutions. So it is mostly used in the dairy equipment and the teeth dips, especially if there is a cattle shed with a recurrent mastitis attack, then you can advise the owner to wash the floor with chloramine T. Then it is mostly used for the dairy equipments and teeth dips very commonly. So it is a antibacterial even after the chlorine has been spent, since the parent compound is a sulfonamide emetic. So chloramine T, I think you might have also heard in the sulfonamide antibiotic, it's one of the parent compound. Then surface acting agents are also they are known as the surfactants. So surface acting compounds like the detergents, wetting powders, and they themselves are called as surfactants are the agents which lower the surface tension. So the surface acting agents or surfactants are the one which lower the surface tension of a liquid. The interfacial tension between two liquids or that between a liquid and a solid due to their emulsifying action. So the group consists of a large number of anionic or cationic compounds, which are often indicated for the antisepsis and also for the disinfections. And other properties of the surface acting agents are those of wetting, penetrating foaming, and also cleansing. And they possess very good germicidal property, which is ascribed mainly to the alterations of the microbial membrane permeability. And other than that thing, the antimicrobial action may not be directly related to the surface or surface tension activity, altering the surface tension. Then anionic surfactants and many type of the surfactants are there. While dealing with the mechanism of action and also the classification, you are seeing the anionic surfactants are the soaps. So every day we use the soaps, while recurrent hand washing also use the soaps. So they are the anionic detergents with general formula of RCOONA or potassium, sodium or potassium, where R is a fatty acid such as oleate. In the many of the soaps, this is a very common formula, and the soaps are generally used to scrub hands and operation sites and are effective in the acidic conditions. So on application, they emulsify the lipodal secretions of the skin and remove it along the associated dirt, desquamated epithelium, and the bacteria. So after taking a bath with the soap, we will feel very fresh and healthy because the dirt is also removed, then along with the bacteria, the sweat, and the biological materials. So we will feel very, very fresh. So as most of the bacteria reside in the lipodal secretions of the skin, soaps produce mainly the cleansing action. So if we take a very good bath with using a very good soap, then we will feel a lot of fresh. Then in addition to emulsifying action, the soaps possess weak antibacterial activity, particularly against the gram-positive bacteria. So that is a known factor. So the soaps are not very satisfactory germicidal against most of the common pathogens, and they have got the limitations also. So they can mediate it incorporating other antibiotics. So the hexachlorophene, etc., can be used because most of the soaps have the alkaline pH. So they may irritate the sensitive skin and the mucous membrane. And few of the soaps with glycerine, so they are having the pH which is near to the neutral. And soaps and anionic detergents are incompatible with the cationic surfactants. So we need to know what are all the cationic surfactants. Then these are cationic surfactants are positively charged detergents. Positively charged detergents and include many quaternary ammonium compounds. So these compounds, especially they are more active in case of the alkaline media and are effective against both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. Especially, they require higher concentration to kill the gram-negative. They are more resistant. So the cationic detergents can be used in more dilute solution. So one is 5,000 and one is to 20,000. Especially they are also effective against the Pseudomonas and gram-negative bacteria. Then cationic surfactants mainly act by binding irreversibly to the phospholipids and proteins of the cytoplasmic membranes of the microbe, thereby altering the permeability of the microbicidal cell membrane. Then cationic detergents, many of your Dettol, etc., they are inactivated by anionic substances. For example, anionic detergents like the fatty acids, and therefore their activity decreases in presence of the blood, debris, etc. Then, so these cationic detergents are primarily for environmental disinfections of the floors, walls, and equipment surfaces. So they are not recommended for the farmhouse due to their neutralization by organic matter, which is just like the dung, urine, etc. And also they are going to kill the required microorganisms also. Hence, they are not recommended. So what are all these things? Especially these cationic detergents include the cetrimide, then benzalkonium chloride, benzoyl chloride, then cetylpyridinium chloride, and also the dequalinium chloride, then methyl benzonium chloride. So cetrimide is one of the most commonly used agent. Cetrimide or the benzalkonium chloride. So it is a mixture of the varieties of the different chlorides of alkyl groups. And this is a quaternary ammonium detergent. This is available as white to yellowish white, this powder or gel. So this is used against varieties of the bacteria, sometimes the virus also, and the spores are considered to be resistant, and solutions are bacteriostatic in nature and also bactericidal according to the composition. Then especially whenever there is a gram-negative bacteria infections. So suppose in the hospital premises, etc., they are usually cleaned with the benzalkonium chloride. Then the mechanism, disruption of the bacterial cell membrane is one of the mechanism of action. Then the enzymes of the bacteria finally control the wide range of the respiratory and the metabolic cellular activities are particularly susceptible to deactivation, especially in the bacterial metabolism mechanism. Benzalkonium chloride is included in several formulations such as the eye washes, nasal sprays, and then face washes. So yesterday we have learned that the acetic acid or the glacial acetic acid is also used as the mouthwash. Then the cleansers, sanitizers, and also the disinfectant. Then a 1% solution of the alcohol is useful as an antiseptic for skin operations, especially for the udder wash. So the dilute solutions may be used as douches, then irrigation application to mucous membranes, and also the deep cut wounds. And whenever there is a fungal infection, it is used in the as a form of the ointment as 0.15% solution. So benzalkonium solutions of 10%, and most of the these ointments, antiseptic ointments, they do contain the benzalkonium chloride, and have the habit of reading the content of each and every ointment, injection, or any medical substances or medical devices, so that we will get more and more idea. And as and when you see, please try to understand its mechanism of action and also the concentrations used, the side effects, etc., so that you can remember them forever. Then cetrimide. Cetrimide is one of the bactericidal and cleansing actions. Then it consists of that's decyl trimethyl ammonium bromide together with smaller amounts of decyl and the hexadecyl trimethyl ammonium bromide. So it's the complex formula of all these substances, and it exists as a soapy powder with faint fishy odor. So it's present in water and alcohol also. And the cetrimide solution to the extent of 1% are used for skin cleansing and wound or burn dressings. This is the formula, right side. This is the formula is available here. Then the solution of 1% are used for usually 1%. So then it is used to rinse the cetrimide. It's one of the very common antiseptic milkers and also the utensils. The creams containing the cetrimide 0.5% may be used for the teeth wounds as the prophylactic measures in mastitis control. Also, it is used. So the alone or combination with chlorhexidine. So chlorhexidine or Savlan contained cetrimide is one of the most useful antiseptic and disinfectant for the surgical instruments and utensils. So Savlan, which is one of the most popular trade name, which is containing the combination of chlorhexidine and cetrimide. So sometimes this may also cause the hypersensitivity reactions. And benzethonium is a quaternary ammonium cationic detergent, which is very soluble in giving the foamy or soapy solution. So it is broad spectrum in action and used as topical anti-infective at 0.1% solution. Then cetylpyridinium is also having a similar property and used as the topic anti-infective, antiseptic, and disinfectant. All these things are. Tacrolimus is also the same thing. Then it has been used in the gum paints and lozenges. The lozenges, you are using this Vicks and Strepsils lozenges. It is containing tacrolimus chloride. So it has also been used in 0.4% in creams and powders and woods also. Then the diethylamide, especially this is a short form of this thing is dimethyl ammonium. So here you can see that many preparations containing this particular drug. So it is used for the sterilization of surgical instrument. When there is a facility is not available to the autoclaving and gynecology, surgery, then ophthalmology and operation theaters. So this is kept with these different trade names. Then octanidine or the octanidine is a quaternary ammonium cationic surfactant. Then it is similar in action to the other agents with little broader spectrum of activity, 0.1 to 0.2%, 2% is mainly used. So it is potentiated with addition of the phenoxyethanol. Then the chlorhexidine or biguanides or amidins are one of the common agents, especially these are the used, especially the chlorhexidine or the content of the Savlan. It is exhibiting broad spectrum of antibacterial activity, non-irritant, and it has got limited antifungal action or antiviral action. So it has sustained residual activity and its efficacy is not much affected by either blood or necrotic tissues or the other organic matters. So the chlorhexidine, of course, it's available as Savlan solution, especially after shave lotions for the humans, especially the men, and it is also available as the chlorhexidine spray for dogs and cats and puppies and wound healing agent. So this is also coming as the chlorhexidine mouthwash. So the trade names and other things, it's available in different concentrations and it's a anti-plaque agent also. So the plaques which are present in the mouth. So after eating something, if you do not remove the plaques, then a lot of smell will be there in the oral cavity or what you cause as the halitosis. So bad smell of the oral cavity, unacceptable smell. So then you can use this chlorhexidine mouthwash. So this is one of the most commonly used drug, especially chlorhexidine acetate, hydrochloride, and gluconate are widely used, and also both in veterinary and human practices. So the 4% emulsion is also used, and it's effective, useful as the antiseptic in case of the animals. So this is also used as the surgical scrub and ointments, especially for the intact screen. So it's available as some 100 ml bottle to 5 liter can maximum. Then another drug, that is dibromide. So this is an amidine antiseptic and disinfectant. It is used in the eye drops and ointments for the treatment of minor eye infections. And this is non-irritant, especially used in the glycerol, and it is sparingly soluble in alcohol, and of course it's soluble in water. So many other drugs like the agents like propamidine and hexamidine are also used. Then other compounds like the metallic category or metallic compounds, then silver substances like the silver compounds such as used as the inorganic salts, silver nitrate or colloidal silver propionate. So silver nitrate is the silver ions are going to produce the reaction by reacting with SH group, sulfhydryl groups, and hence causes the AgNO3 or silver nitrate is inorganic salt of the silver, and but it is very caustic. The concentrated solution is very caustic, and it has got the antibacterial effect. Then the silver nitrate at the this 0.1% aqueous solution is bactericidal, even though it is a skin irritant, whereas bacteristatic at the 10 times dilution. So it is effective, especially the Pseudomonas and very resistant bacteria, and also the burn wound. Then it potentiates the, especially it has caused this interaction with silver with tissues and proteins. Then tissues get stained black due to deposition of the reduced sulfur. So the silver nitrate is caustic. Many times the horn birds are burned with silver nitrate, and sometimes it's also used against the warts. Then the colloidal silver preparations are the silver protein, mild silver protein, and silver halides are very commonly used. All these agents do release the silver in either one or the other quantity. So they are occasionally used to mild antiseptics, but the cost is little bit high. And zinc compounds like the zinc sulfate, zinc oxide, zinc chloride are the astringents, not like the astringents which are used in the treatment of diarrhea. These are all the surface acting astringents and also the mild antiseptic. So the antiseptic action of the zinc is probably due to the precipitation of proteins by the zinc ions. So zinc oxide is used as available as the 15% solution, and especially when they're like eczema, superficial wound, especially for the dermatitis, cattle dermatitis, the zinc oxide and sulfur with equal quantity in case of neem oil gives a very good result and used as antiseptic, and zinc chloride is used in the dentistry. Then mercury compounds, of course, they are one of the oldest compounds widely used as antiseptics, but they are now replaced by the other drugs as they are getting a lot of toxicity. All mercury compounds possess potential risk of the toxicity if used indiscriminately or at high concentrations. So the acridine dyes are also one of the important dyes. The example, the acriflavine, proflavine, then aminoacrylate. So they possess the antibacterial activity and occasionally are used as the antiseptics. So they are more active against the gram-positive bacteria and also the venereal infections like the gonococci. So they are widely used for the treatment of the burns. So they are non-irritating and they do not lose the potency. That's very much important that acridine dyes will not lose the potency in presence of pus, serum, and organic matter. So they are very commonly used in surgery. But one of the disadvantages is staining of the drapes and the cloth and also the skin surface. So acryflavine is one of the most commonly used this diacridine dye and mixture of two acridine derivatives, especially 3,6-diamino-10-methylacridinium chloride and 3,6-diamino acridine. So acryflavine exists as the orange-red crystalline powder. So if you put this powder in the water, then it causes a solution, especially the yellow-orange solution. So it is very much neutral in solution than as the acid acryflavine. So acryflavine hydrochloride. And the acryflavine is reddish orange color if you put it in the water. So whenever you go to the clinics, you can see this thing. And the acryflavine is dark red, both solutions, fluorescence on the dilution and causes the antibacterial action. So this is having the neutral property when compared to the this potassium permanganate, which is having a little bit irritating property, whereas the acryflavine is non-irritating and neutral in nature. So the acryflavine is mostly used in the concentration maximum 0.1% emulsion. So sometimes the jellies are also available and bandages and gauges, especially just after the burns and also after surgery, because this is non-irritating. And proflavine is also very similar to that of the acryflavine, and it is a acryflavine derivative. So the hemisulfide topical salts are also applicable. So it's a reddish brown crystalline this powder, and it also causes the staining. And dusting powders available up to the point, this solution of 0.2%. Then aminoacrylate, of course, the hydrochloride occurs as the pale yellow crystals, which are less soluble in water, giving a yellow solution. So aminoacrylate is having the antibacterial activity, especially it is similar to that of the acryflavine and proflavine. So this is one of the gentian, this rosaline dyes, among which the gentian violet. So this gentian violet, or it's also known as crystal violet or CV, it's a rosaline dye that causes the antiseptic and antifungal activities. Especially this is effective against the gram-positive bacteria and staphylococcus and almost all the bacteria. Whereas this gentian violet is mainly used as 0.5% solution, like jelly, solution, lotion, etc. So, and it combines with another dye, DYE dye, brilliant green and proflavine, or it's also known as the triple dyes. So the combination of the gentian violet, then brilliant green, and proflavine, all these may make the triple dyes and first aid treatment of the burns. Always it is the burn wound, it is used. So even though it gives a very characteristic color, especially the stain, but when compared to its action, and they are used for the disinfections of the skin, then chronic ulcers, the treatment of the ringworm, etc. So the medical use of the gentian violet has been superseded by the modern drugs, because this is also going to cause a lot of stain because it is having dark violet color. So this is unacceptable when it's especially applied over the wound. Then brilliant green is another rosaline dye. Then all other properties are similar to that of the gentian violet. Then brilliant green induces vomition when swallowed. And most of the antiseptics and disinfectants are highly toxic. Be careful, and there is only symptomatic treatment. There is only symptomatic treatment. like gastric lavaging, number one, then the indication of the omission, and also administration of activated charcoal. So these are all the line of treatment for the and administration of certain proton pump inhibitors. So as the name indicates, it's having dark green color and it's used with gentian violet and proflavin, especially for the burn wound treatment. Then the azodize, the scarlet red. So it is an azodide that exists in the brown powder and it's practically insoluble in water and slightly soluble in the acetone and alcohol. Especially it is active against the gram-positive organisms and in the most active in case of the acidic medium. So 5% ointment is especially on the soles ulcers and wounds. So promote wound healing. So antibiotics and other antibacterials already we have dealt in very detail, especially antibiotics. So nothing more to mention, but some of the things are the bacitracin, polymyxin B, neomycin, primacetine, etc. They are all used, especially as an ointment. Then silver sulfadiazine, then mefenite. All these are useful topical antibacterial agents and are mainly employed for the burn dressing, especially for the silver sulfadiazine is very commonly used. And nitrofurazone is highly efficacious, especially in case of burns for skin grafting. So already this is discussed in the earlier chapters, and whenever we are dealt with the dealing with the antibiotics and antibacterials, we have already discussed. Then ethylene oxide is also another gaseous agent and disinfectant, but the action is stronger against the bacteria when compared to the fungi, yeasts, etc. So it acts mainly by alkylating the microbial nucleic acid. So it is a strong alkylating properties of ethylene oxide makes it universal poison for the protoplasms. So the other things, especially this ethylene oxide is an irritant and toxic gas, and hence its storage use should be very properly regulated, and the toxicity may occur if it is leaked. Then ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, of course, it is the anticoagulant, EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. So it is also used with a tris buffer, has shown antibacterial properties, particularly against the Pseudomonas aeruginosa and also E. coli, like this very resistant microbial agent. So it is used along with the other agent antibiotics to deal with the bacterial rhinitis and multiple fistulas in the treatment of the dogs. So that's about the antiseptics and disinfectants. So we will come with some other chapters tomorrow. Thanks for the hearing.